Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the session on GST. It's a problem-solving session where we are going to discuss a lot of case scenario-based MCQs. We started off in the last session and we did a few sessions last time. So now what our plan is, we are going to do further case studies. And also I remember when I was closing the session last time, there were a few queries. We'll just look at those queries before we come back to the today's session. Yeah, some people asked if we will do every case study in the class. See, I'll be doing majority. I'll be doing around say 10 to 12 case studies in total. In case further case studies also have to be covered, we'll have to check if another class will be allotted for the same. But as of now, 10 to 12 case studies will be done. Thank you very much, sir. Class. It's my pleasure. I hope you're preparing well. From where can I get the schedule of the class? I think you have to look at the BOS app where you can see the schedule of the class. Thank you very much. Okay, that's fine. So now we are, we'll come to today's session. 1 second. Yeah. Good evening, Sailesh. Nice to see you on time. Yeah. So now we come back to the sixth question where we stopped. Let us go through the question once again quickly and you guys can try to answer the question. Mr. Ashok, proprietor of Office Link Enterprises, engaged in trading of office stationery items in its stationery store located at Salt Lake City, Kolkata. The said store is taken on lease from Kolkata Municipal Corporation. So immediately here you have to see that there is a hint given here. Whenever a store is taken on lease from a local authority, the rent which is paid to the government organization, government or the local authority is subject to tax under reverse charge mechanism, right? This is what immediately you have to recollect. During the previous financial year, the turnover of Office Link Enterprises was 14 lakhs. Mr. Ashok supplies goods within the state of West Bengal only, but purchases stationery items mostly from Delhi and Mumbai. He owns a duplex house in Newtown, Kolkata. He stays on the ground floor and let out the first floor to employee of IDTL Bank Delhi for residential purposes. Again here, if you are getting rent for residential purposes, it is exempt from GST. It is not at all chargeable to GST. The rent for the same is paid by IDTL Bank to Mr. Ashok. During the current financial year, also he is telling that the turnover for the previous year is 14 lakhs. So that means GST registration is not compulsory required because it is less than 20 lakhs. During current financial year, he applied for GST registration on voluntary basis on 2nd April 2021 and registration was granted to him with effect from 9th April. So why I'm saying voluntary basis here? Why it is saying voluntary basis here? Because the turnover is less than 20 lakhs in the preceding financial year. So the moment it is less than 20 lakhs in the preceding financial year, he has therefore still applied for the registration. Therefore, he is applying under the voluntary registration scheme. Registration was granted to him with effect from 9th April 2020. The details of the stock position during the current financial year is under. Office stationery items purchased from registered dealer. On 2nd April, it is 1 lakh. 8th April, it is 1 lakh. Books, periodicals, journals, newspaper, maps, etc. 20,000 on 2nd April 21. And on 8th April 21, it is 30,000. The details of transactions also are given. There are two dates, range of dates which are given. The first range of dates is 1st April to 8th April. Second range of dates is 9th April to 31st March. So therefore, here we are being tested on the concept of when he is liable to be a registered person. So therefore, in voluntary registration, if you see, he is always bound to be a registered person from the day on which he is granting the registration certificate. So before that, whatever be the turnover, he was not liable for getting the registration done. So that is basically not a taxable supply. So taxable supply will start only from 9th April 2021, which is the date from which he has got his GST registration certificate. So sale of office stationery items, 2 lakhs and 3 lakhs and 84 lakhs. Then other sales are also given. Legal fees paid to advocate. Here also RCM mechanism. The moment you pay to the advocate, whether a reverse charge mechanism is applicable, 10,000. So let us check this as well. Purchase of stationery is 3 and 74. Purchase of furniture for use in the own office after 9th April, it is 1 lakh. Purchase of stationery items from a registered dealer, 1 lakh 18 lakhs. Lease rent of stationery should paid to KMC, that is 1 lakh 20,000. So this is subject to reverse charge mechanism because it is a rent which is paid to a local authority. Transportation charges paid to Messrs. Gati Transporter, who is a GTA. He is a goods transport agency. So therefore, reverse charge mechanism will be applicable. And interest paid on borrowings from, and also he says that the tax is not payable at 12%, which means it is reverse charge mechanism. Interest paid on borrowings from BBI Bank is given. Accrued interest on fixed deposit, rent received. So all these are again exempt supplies or non-supplies as well. Then Mr. Ashok went to Mumbai, Maharashtra for a business meeting in Feb 2022 and stayed in Hotel Blue Pines for a week. Hotel charged 1 lakh, that is the taxable value for the stay. All the amounts given above are exclusive of GST wherever applicable, unless otherwise provided. Assume that there is no other outward or inward supply apart from the aforesaid transactions. In the current financial year, GST is applicable on all inward and outward supplies except on service of transportation of goods. Right, this is what is given here. And also he's gone to Mumbai for a business meeting and stayed for 1 week. 1 lakh rupees was the taxable value. Then, based on the above facts, please choose the most appropriate answer. The value of outward supply, which shall be subject to GST for the current financial year, is 98 lakhs, 100 lakhs, 102.4 lakhs, 108 lakhs. Please try to answer this question. So therefore, he is asking, what is the value of outward supply which shall be subject to GST, right? So what will be subject to GST? Very, very simple question. Please try to answer this. What will be subject to GST here? So you have to see here, since it is voluntary registration, only after he gets himself registered, whatever turnover gets accrued on that GST will be applicable. So therefore, we have to see what is the turnover, and accordingly the GST will be calculated. Yeah. So therefore, if you see here, the question is very, very clear. The question says value of the outward supply which is subject to GST. So if you see here, the turnover of the preceding financial year is less than 20 lakhs. So therefore, since that is less than 20 lakhs, he gets himself voluntary registered. So when he is voluntarily registering himself, the turnover with effect from 9th April 2021 also has to be considered for the purpose of collecting the GST. Because before that he was not registered, not liable to be registered. He is liable to be collect the tax only after he is getting the GST registration. So from 9th April, his turnover 84 lakhs will be taken as the value of outward supply. That is intrastated to registered person, and 14 lakhs also will be taken. So 84 lakhs and 14 lakhs will be taken. So 98 lakhs is the value of the outward supply. 98 lakhs is the value of the outward supply. So therefore, in this case, the answer is A, that is 98 lakhs. So 98 lakhs will be the value of the outward supply. I hope this point is clear. Now we come to the next one, 6.2. Which of the following statements is correct in terms of facts of this case scenario given up? Number 1, Mr. Ashok cannot opt to pay tax in FY 22-23 under composition scheme under section 10.1 and 10.2 of the CGST Act 2017. So we have to examine which of the following statements are correct. So first statement, he says that Ashok cannot opt to pay the tax in 22-23 under the composition scheme. Now let us see what is the aggregate turnover of Ashok. The aggregate turnover of Ashok here is 98 lakhs in FY 21-22. So if it aggregate turnover is less than 1.5 crores in the preceding financial year, definitely for the current financial year, you can opt for the composition scheme. So for 2022-23, for 21-22, since the aggregate turnover is less than 1.5 crores, definitely he can opt for the composite scheme in financial year 2022-23. But in the statement, it is mentioned that he cannot opt for the paying the tax under the composition scheme, which is incorrect. So therefore, 6.2a, this particular statement is incorrect. Now we come to the next one. Mr. Ashok is entitled to take the ITC of inputs held in the stock on 1st April 2020. So if you see here, there's a small error in the problem in the solution here. The answer is D only, but he has given 1st April. This is supposed to be 8th April. I'll tell you why it is 8th April once we discuss the question. So here what is happening? So he's entitled to take ITC of inputs held in the stock on 1st April 2020. Please remember, in case of voluntary registration, when it comes to input tax credit, we have to see what is the value of stock which is lying with the dealer at 1 day prior to the date of grant of registration. 1 day prior to the date of grant of registration, whatever is the credit lying in the input, that credit only has to be taken. It is very, very clear. So credit in respect of inputs in stock on the date prior to the date of grant of registration has to be taken. So if you go back to the question here he is entitled to take the ITC held in stock as on 1st April. But 1st April is not granted the registration. He has applied for the registration on 1st April, on 2nd April. So therefore, this will not be taken. This is also incorrect. He cannot claim the stock. Right. Third one, Mr. Ashok shall be liable to pay GST under reverse charge on line 4 in respect of purchases made from unregistered persons. Please bear in mind that 9 subsection 4, which was initially there, that is when the GST law first came into force, that said that whatever supplies you are making from unregistered dealers, on such supplies, there will not be any, there will be reverse charge mechanism. But gradually they removed the provision. And now it is applicable only to certain specified supplies like cement, steel, etc. in case of development agreements and real estate act. So therefore, this statement also is incorrect. So naturally, the fourth statement is correct. So therefore, ITC, which is lying in the stock 1 day prior to the date of grant of registration, can definitely be claimed as the input tax credit. So the answer is D for 6.2. Now we come to 6.3, the value of supply on which Mr. Ashok is liable to pay GST under reverse charge for the current financial year. So for the current financial year, what is the amount of payment which is under reverse charge? Let us go through the transactions one by one. So here if you see sale, this is not reverse charge. Legal fees paid to advocate. Now this is a very, very tricky question. Legal fees paid to advocate is actually covered under reverse charge mechanism. But however, in case of a small business entity, when I say a small business entity, a business entity whose turnover is less than 20 lakhs in the preceding financial year. So when a small business entity takes the legal services, it is exempt from GST. So therefore, the legal fees will not be subject to RCM here because it is exempt from GST. Why? Because it is provided to a small business entity. That is the tricky portion here. You have to clearly understand here that legal fees will not be taken for consideration when you are calculating the supplies under reverse charge mechanism. Then purchase of stationery items, as I told you, this also nothing will come. Furniture for use, nothing will come. Then lease rent of stationery paid to KMC. Now this is very much a reverse charge mechanism. So whatever lease rent paid to the Kolkata Municipal Corporation, that is 1,20,000 is chargeable to tax under the reverse charge mechanism. Then we look at the transportation charges paid to Messrs. Gati Transporters GTA. So when the tax rate is not 12%, it is naturally at 5%, which is paid under the reverse charge mechanism. So in case, and it is clearly mentioned in the question that Gati is a goods transport agency. So once this amount is paid to the goods transport agency, on this reverse charge mechanism will be applicable. So therefore, 1,50,000 also will be taken into consideration. So 1,50,000 plus 1,20,000 lease rent, total will be 2,70,000. So the answer is in this case D, 6.3 D is the answer, which is 2,70,000. Now we come to 6.4. Which of the following inward supply is not subject to payment of tax under the reverse charge mechanism? This anyways, we have discussed the same thing in 6.3. The same discussion will continue here. Shop rent paid to KMC, whether it is reverse charge, definitely it is reverse charge, but the question is asking which is not subject to payment of tax under reverse charge. Second one says legal fee paid to advocate, that is very much coming under the reverse charge mechanism. So 2 is one option. Third is purchase of stationery items from unregistered person. This is also will not come into the consideration. Fourth one, transportation charges is the reverse charge mechanism, which is there. So what is not under the reverse charge mechanism is 2 and 3. 2, legal fee paid to advocate, since it is a small business entity, it is exempt and not subject to reverse charge mechanism. And purchase of stationery items from unregistered person also. This section 9 subsection 4 used to cover it earlier. Now it is no more applicable. So 2 and 3 are the answers for 6.4. I hope things are clear here. Any queries, please feel free to post. Now we come to 6.5. Whether ITC is available on the GST paid by Mr. Ashok on the taxable value of 1 lakh charged by Hotel Blue Pines located in Mumbai, Maharashtra for his stay. If yes, please check the amount of ITC which is available. So he's asking whether you can claim the input tax credit on the accommodation in the Blue Pines Hotel which you are staying. Please bear in mind that in case of hotel services, in case of hotel and accommodation services, the place of supply is always the place where the immobile property is situated. So now Ashok is in Kolkata, but he has gone to Mumbai and stayed there. So how to determine whether an interstate supply or an intrastate supply? Interstate supply, the location of the supplier and the place of supply are in two different states. In this case, what is happening? Location of supplier, that is the hotel, it is very much in Mumbai. The place of supply is the place where the hotel is located. So that basically is your, so Ashok is located in Kolkata, place where it is also Mumbai. So therefore it is an intrastate supply. But whereas this person has the registration in Kolkata, so he will not be able to credit claim in case of an intrastate supply. I hope this point is clear. Fine. So therefore, in this particular situation, the answer will be D. That is, no input tax credit is available. No input tax credit is available. So that was your question number 6 in your case study. Now we come to the 8th question. Ganesh Flour Mill Private Limited, a registered supplier under GST and a monthly return filer, having the plant at Hora, West Bengal, is engaged in the business of food processing. Okay, so Ganesh Flour Mill, monthly return filer, engaged in the business of food processing. Within the plant premises, there is a stockyard, an office, and a few residential quarters for the employees of the company. After purchasing wheat from local market, the company processes it and packs and sells the finished product like atta, maida, suji, 1 kg, 5 kg, and 10 kg bags under the brand name Ganesh. The aggregate turnover of the company during the preceding financial year was 7.5 crores. Following details are provided for the month of September. Sale of Ganesh Bhog, atta, maida, suji, 60 lakhs. Purchase of wheat from Mandi is 14 lakhs. Transportation charges paid to an unregistered goods transport operator for transportation of wheat from Mandi to factory is 40,000. Hiring charges paid to local truck owner, not a GTA, please remember, for transportation of finished products from factory to distributor, 50,000. Rent received from residential quarters allotted to employees, 10,000. Electricity charges paid to West Bengal State Electricity Board is 1,60,000. Bill raised by Messrs. BS Security, Kolkata, for providing the security services, 1,18,000. Interest on delayed payment, concept of value of supplies also is coming in this problem, 3,500. Interest on fixed deposit in a bank, 8,600. Payment to Indian Chamber of Commerce, registered under GST, towards sponsorship for Investor Summit at Kolkata. Legal fee paid to advocate Mr. Ashok Ganguly, 30,000. Sponsorship is 25,000. License fee paid to FSSI, that is for food license, it is 25,000. Following additional information also has been given. Security service which is given by BS Security is inclusive of GST. That is 1,18,000 it is given. So since that is inclusive of GST, the taxable value will be 1 lakh. Out of the total sales, Ganesh Bhog atta worth 3,50,000 was supplied to Department of School Education, Government of West Bengal, for further supply to affected families during COVID-19. Subsidy also was received from the government of 10 per kg for the said supply, which has not been considered in the total sales of 60 lakhs. So subsidy has not been considered. Subsidy is again given by the state government. So what will have to come here? That also will have to be taken into consideration. The company has awarded a maintenance contract to Power Electromech Private Limited on 10th June for repair of DG set installed in the factory for 60,000 with a completion period of 30 days. The maintenance work was completed on 8th July. Again, here contract was given on 10th June. Service was completed on 8th July. but invoice was given only on 5th September and payment was released on 15th September. So what is the time of supply here? Those provision also is covered. Company had been levied a penalty of 5,000 for wrong utilization of credit by the proper officer. The company has deposited the tax liability for the month of August amounting to rupees 3,30,730 on 28th September. Right? This is what is given in the question. All above amounts are exclusive wherever applicable unless specified otherwise. Based on the facts of the case, choose the most appropriate answer. First one, value of taxable outward supply made by the company in the month of September is what? So please try to work out this problem. So what all is the outward supply? You have to see that one here. Yeah. So therefore, if you see here, the value of taxable outward supply. In the value of taxable outward supply, what all is to be considered? Let us see what are the outward supply he has made. Sale of Ganesh Bhog Atta, Maida and Suji of 60 lakh rupees. So 60 lakhs is the actual sale which is made. But if you look at note 2, note 2 says that a subsidy of 10 per kg was received for the said sum, right? So in this particular situation, for 3,50,000, whatever sales you have made, for that 3,50,000, 10 rupees per kg subsidy is given. So subsidy which is given by the state government or the central government will be excluded from the value of the sum. So therefore, we have to remove this respective subsidy. So what is that subsidy? That subsidy basically will be 10 per kg. So 10,000 per kg into 10. 1 lakh is the subsidy what is received. So 60 lakhs is the total sales. Minus 1 lakh is the subsidy which is given. 59 lakhs is the sale of the Ganesh Bhog. So 59 lakhs after removing the subsidy will come. And then let us go back to what other questions are there. Yeah. So this one is very, very clear. And then interest on delayed payment collected from customers. That is 3,500. So what all are the delayed payments? So all others, if you see, will not be included in the value of the supply. But if there is a delayed payment from the customer on which you are collecting the interest, in that particular situation, on the receipt of the delayed payment, you have to collect the GST. So therefore, in this particular situation, 59 lakhs is the sale of taxable outward supply. He's asking only taxable outward supply in the question. So you don't have to worry about the exempt ones here. So taxable outward supply, that sale of Ganesh Bhog Atta is 59 lakh rupees. Then whatever is the interest on delayed payment collected from the customers is 3,500. So therefore, 59 lakh 3,500. That is answer number B is the answer for the taxable outward supply. I hope this point is clear. Okay, so here in this particular situation for taxable outward supply, 59 lakh 3,500 is the value of taxable outward supply. Then second one, the value of taxable supply received on which the GST is paid under the reverse charge mechanism. So under reverse charge mechanism, what all are covered here? This we will have to see. Now let us go back to the question. So transportation paid to unregistered goods transport operator, unregistered GTA for transportation of wheat. For transportation of wheat here in this particular situation will not be subject to RCM at all, because It is transportation of wheat essential product, therefore exempt. So hiring charges paid to local truck owner for transportation. So if it is not a GTA, on hiring charges, what all you have paid on this, the reverse charge mechanism will not. Then rent paid received from residential quarters is anyways exempt. Then electricity charges not covered. Bill raised by BIS Security, Kolkata, a partnership firm for providing the security service. So with respect to security services, it is subject to the reverse charge mechanism. So what we shall see what note 1 says. Security service bill raised by BIS Security is inclusive of GST at 18%. So 1,18,000 whatever is given, it's including the GST, and this particular 1 lakh only will be the respective amount which is to be taken under the RC. Then interest or delayed payment is fine, and payment to Indian Chamber of Commerce for sponsorship for investor submitted Kolkata. So you are giving the money to that person and he is providing you the sponsor services. So on the sponsor also reverse charge mechanism is applicable. So therefore another 50,000 it should be added. Then legal fees paid to advocate Mr. Ashok Ganguly. So here he is not specified any details. So whatever legal fee you are paying to the advocate will be subject to reverse charge mechanism. So that is 30,000. So the answer in this particular case is, I'll anyways share you all the answers in the notes so that you can check once. Security charges is 1 lakh, sponsorship charges is 25,000, legal fees paid is 30,000. Total is 1,55,000. 1,55,000 basically is one second. So a second point here is for reverse charge mechanism, the answer is 1,55,000. That is the security charges, the sponsorship charges, and the legal fee paid. 30,000 total comes to 1,55,000. Now we come to the next question. What is the time of supply of services provided by Power Electromech Private Limited? Let us see what exactly Power Electromech did. Company has awarded maintenance contract to Power Electromech on 10th June for repair of the DG set, but for 60,000 with completion period of maintenance was finished on 8th July. However, due to some dispute, invoice was issued only on 5th September and payment was released on 15th September. So therefore, it's very simple. Date of provision of service or date of invoice, whichever is here, the provision of service has been completed. He has completed straight away the provision of service on 8th July itself. 8th July itself it is covered. So therefore, in this particular situation, you have to see what is the earliest date. The time of supply is the earliest date in this particular situation. So when it comes to the time of supply, here time of supply is earliest date, that is 8th July. So 4th, 8.3 D is the answer for 8th July. Then 8.4. The amount of interest payable by the company under section 50 for delay in income tax for that month. So here what is happening when the GST returns get delayed, interest also is applicable on the respective payment. So interest will be applicable. What is the interest applicable? We have to see. These are the options which are given to us. So therefore, if you look at the problem here, you see that the company has deposited tax liability for month of August amounting to rupees 3,30,730 on 28th September. On 28th September, you are say 28th September. So August due date and for filing 3B and making the payment is 20th September. So 8 days they have delayed. Tax liability is 3,30,730 into it is 1.5% per month, which is 18% per annum. So it is 3,30,730 into 18%, which is 59,531 into 8 divided by One second. 3,30,730 into 18% into 8 days divided by 365 days, which comes to 1305, right? So I'll just repeat again. Here 3,30,730 is the tax payment and GST rate is 18%. It comes to 59,531. So this into 8 days, that is the delay days, divided by 365. Divided by 365. So 1305. 1305 is the interest which is applicable. So what are the options which are given here? 8.4, 1305 is there. So 8.4B, 1305 is the answer for this particular question. Then another very, very simple, straightforward question. In the context of the imposition of penalty by the proper officer of 5,000, which of the following statements is correct? Penalty leviable, since it is not minor breach. Penalty is not leviable, since it is a minor breach, right? Penalty is leviable even after the no penalty, only interest is added to ITC amount wrongly utilized to output liability. So therefore, this is a minor breach. So this is a minor. It is not a minor breach because it is a penalty which has happened. So since it is not a minor breach, penalty definitely will be leviable. Penalty definitely will be leviable. So with that, we come to the end of the 8th case study based on today, as in number 8 in the MCQs and case scenarios material. Now we come to the next question. That is question number 10. Very similar to what a question which we have done before. Dinanath and Sons of Kolkata, a registered person under GST, deals in supply of electronic goods such as TV, refrigerator, washing machine, etc. It also provides services of repairs and maintenance of said goods. Its aggregate turnover during the preceding financial year was 6.2 crores. It furnishes the following information for the month of December. So outward supplies during month of December are as under. Number 1, supply of goods to unregistered person residing in and around Kolkata, 12 lakhs. Supply of goods to a dealer of Bihar, 6 lakhs. Supply of goods to registered dealer in West Bengal, 28 lakhs. Repair and maintenance services provided to unregistered persons, 4 lakhs. So these are the outward supplies which are given. Inward supplies. Purchase of TV sets from registered dealers. During unloading of TV sets, one LED TV sold costing 25,000 was damaged, but the dealer refused to replace the set. That is 30 lakhs. Purchase of refrigerators from registered dealers, 4 lakhs. Purchase of washing machine from unregistered dealers, 2 lakhs. Transportation charges paid to home logistics, 2 lakhs. Star security services not registered under GST is 50,000. Loading and unloading charges paid to laborer, 10,000. Shop rent, again, reverse charge mechanism is again back, which is shop rent paid to KMC, 30,000. Fees paid to Mr. Das, a senior advocate. Now here the turnover is definitely more. So therefore here reverse charge mechanism also will be applicable. Important point to consider. Following additional information also provided. Assistant Commissioner of Commercial Tax, Kolkata has issued a show cause notice to Dinanath and Sons due to non-displaying of registration certificate in a prominent location and GST number on name board at the entry of its principal place of business. Dinanath Sons plea that is that the display of GST number is general public is not mandatory as it is required for the knowledge of the customers only. And the same is already mentioned in the tax. GST rate on inward and outward supplies is 18%, except transportation service, which is GST at 5%. No opening ITC available. All the goods purchased his ex-shop arranges transportation through GT. So it is a very, very similar problem, but slightly more elaborate and long problem. Based on this, we have to try to answer the questions which are given. Number 1, the total value of inward supplies on which GST is payable at GST is payable by Dinanath and Sons under reverse charge is. So immediately go back and see what is the reverse charge items which are applicable. What are the reverse charge items which is applicable? So if you see here, the first one is transportation charges paid to home logistics. So if it is an unregistered GTA, whatever transportation charges you are paying to him will definitely come under reverse charge mechanism. So that is 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs is the transportation charges. Then the next one in the RCM category is 2 lakhs. Then payment made to Star Security Services Private Limited, not registered under GST, for providing the security services. For providing the security services. Here, if you see, if the security service provider is a person who is a body corporate, on that the RCM will not apply. So in this case, it is Star Security Services Private Limited, which is a body corporate, and therefore, in this particular situation, RCM will not be applicable. Loading and unloading charges paid to labor are also no RCM. Shop rent paid for KMC 30,000 will definitely come. So 30,000 you have to pay under the reverse charge mechanism, plus 2 lakhs. Plus 2 lakhs, which is nothing but your home logistics. Home logistics. Then if you see what is the other RCM, it is the fees which is paid to Mr. Das, a senior advocate. So whatever fees you have paid to him, that also will come under the reverse charge mechanism. So therefore, the items which come under the reverse charge mechanism are as under the first one, transportation charges 2 lakhs, shop rent to KMC is 30,000, and fees paid to advocate is 10,000. So therefore, the answer in this case is 2,40,000. 2,40,000. Now we come to point number B. The total input tax credit that can be availed by Dinanath and Sons for December is how much? Total input tax credit that can be availed. So for that you have to do the working. So if you see what are the input tax credit which is available. So therefore here you see inward supplies, GST on purchases from registered dealers and GST on purchases from registered dealers intrastate supply. So if you see here, first thing is GST on purchases. GST on purchases, if you see, 30 lakhs is the total purchases, out of which one LED TV was damaged. One LED TV was damaged, and therefore dealer refused to replace the same. So 30 lakhs is the total amount minus 25,000. 30 lakhs minus 25,000. So 29 lakh 75,000. 29 lakh 75,000 into 18%. 5 lakh 35,500. So GST on purchases, how do we get? We take this 30 lakhs minus 25,000 into 18%. 5,35,400. So 5,35,400 was the GST on the purchases. This is the credit what you can claim. Then purchases from registered dealers. Registered dealers is doing the purchases, which is nothing but 4 lakhs into 18%. 72,000 will be taken into consideration. Then, of course, transportation charges also is there. Unregistered GTA, that is 2 lakhs into 18% is 36,000. Shop rent again is given to KMC. That is 30,000 into 18%, 5,400. Then legal fee. Legal fee here also applicable because it is a big business entity. So legal fee 10,000 into 18% is 1,800 rupees is the total ITC. So if you look at the solution here, let me show you the solution. Solution is therefore 30 lakhs minus 25,000. 30 lakhs minus 25,000, which is 29 lakhs 75,000 into 18% is 5 lakh 35,500. From dealers 4 lakhs worth you purchased 18%, 72,000. Then transportation charges 2 lakhs into 18%, 36,000, because RCM also you can claim the credit. Then shop rent, that is 30,000 into 18%, 5,400. Legal fee 10,000 into 18%, 1,800. So therefore, if you total this up, you will get 6,50,700. Which is 6,50,700 is the answer for 10.2. Then we come to the third one. Total GST payable in cash by Dinanath and Sons for the month of December. Assuming that no ITC is claimed or availed, is 9,17,200, 943,200, 926,900. So here, what is payable in cash that you have to arrive at? $10.3. What is the total GST payable in cash? So if you look at the total GST payable, assuming, so therefore no ITC is available, assuming. So therefore straight away you have to see what are the supplies which are given. GST on outward supply. So here supply of goods 12 lakhs plus 6 lakhs plus 28 lakhs plus 4 lakhs. So outward supply in this case is 50 lakhs into 18%. 9 lakhs is the GST on output supply. 9 lakhs is the GST on output supply. Then what is he asking in the question? Total amount payable in cash. So RCM also you have to pay in cash. So RCM on transport charges we just calculated, but in this case you have to see what are the transport charges which are given here. Transport charges paying to home logistics. Transportation charges paid to home logistics. If you see here, to home logistics, they have paid 2 lakh rupees. But GST rate is only 5%. So 10,000 is the RCM for transport charges, and others RCM is shop rent, legal fee. 40,000 into 18% is 7,200. So total is 9,17,200. So if you want to look at the solution, let me just share the screen. So total outward supply is 50 lakhs into 18%. RCM for transport charge is 5% of 2 lakhs 10,000. RCM for other 7,200. So total is 9,17,200. 9,17,200 is your answer for 10.3. So therefore, the answer is A, that is 9,17,200. Now we go to the next question. The penalty that may be leviable for failure to display the registration certificate in a prominent location and GST number on the same board is, what is the penalty which is applicable? This is straight away 25,000 which is prescribed in the penalties for GST. So for this 25,000 will be leviable to penalty since he has not declared the registration certificate. One second. So 8, 6, 8 and 10 are done. Now we come to the next given case study for us. That is 13th one. That is 13th one. A trader is, Mr. Veera is a trader of ready-made garments and is registered under GST in the state of Uttar Pradesh. His turnover is 1 crore 80 lakhs during the current financial year. So current financial year itself, the turnover is 1 crore 80 lakhs. The composition of his turnover is as under. Intrastate 80 lakhs. Interstate is 1 crore, including exempt supplies of 15 lakhs. His inward supplies are as under. Interstate is 1 crore 30,000, including 20 lakhs exclusively used for exempt supplies. So this you have to remove when you are calculating the common input tax credit. Apart from the above, Mr. Veera has also undertaken following transactions during the current financial year. He purchased a pickup van for purpose of delivery of goods to his customers for 1,70,000. He got a showroom renovated, debited all expenses under repairs and maintenance. So if you are debiting the expenses under repairs and maintenance, in that particular situation, you can claim the input tax credit. Please bear in mind that input tax credit blockage is only applicable to the expenses which are capitalized. So this he can definitely claim the expenses. Labor charges, architect fees, wooden flooring, miscellaneous expenses is given. Then he purchased t-shirts for 1,80,000. After 1 week, he gave them away free to his customers. So in this particular situation, he's giving free of cost. So whether he can claim the credit or not, we have to see. He also sold his shares during the year for 10 crores and bought a house for his money. So with respect to calculating the turnover from shares, though it is an exempt supply, for the purpose of calculation, the rules clearly mention that the value has to be taken as 1% of the total value of shares which are sold. So that same rule we have to adopt here and take 1% for the purpose of our calculation. The rates of tax are 9% CGST, 9% SGST, and 18% IGST on the inward or outward supplies. All amounts given above are exclusive of taxes. The opening balance of ITC for the relevant tax period of Mr. Veera is nil. Subject to the information given above, assume that all the conditions has been fulfilled. So based on the facts and the scenario, choose the most appropriate answer. So 13.1, compute the value of exempt outward supply for the purpose of reversal of ITC by Mr. Veera during the current financial year. So what is the value of exempt outward supply you have to see, right? So this is the first question. Try to work out this question. Value of exempt outward supply. Yeah, one doubt, why atta sale is included in taxable supply as it is an essential commodity. Let us check that. 8.1. You got a doubt of 8.1 question now. Are you viewing the video a bit late? 1 second, let me just check. 8.1. I think it was branded, I guess. Let me see. Yeah, it is branded. The moment it is a brand name, then it becomes a taxable supply, right? So here it is clearly mentioned that it is sold under a brand name. That is why it is becomes a taxable supply there. Yeah. Point 13. Yeah. What is the value of the exempt outward supply? This is for the purpose of reversal of ITC. So the moment there is a common input tax credit, the reversal of input tax credit. So what is the value of the exempt outward supply? You have to check it. So therefore here if you see value of exempt supply, what are the exempt supplies which are given here first? Number one, if you see here, the exempt supply, including exempt supplies in 13B, if you see, it says interstate supply, including exempt supplies of 15 lakhs. So these are exclusive exempt supplies which are given clearly in this form. So therefore 15 lakhs is very, very clearly mentioned. That is 15 lakhs. So that 15 lakhs you have to take it. And apart from this 15 lakhs, whatever is there, if you see, as I mentioned, sale of shares is happening. So as per the CGST rules, whenever the sale of shares is happening, on the total amount of sale of shares, 1% is to be treated as your exempt supply. So 10 crores into 1%. 10 crores into 1% has to be taken. So 10 crores into 1% is 10 lakhs. So therefore, the exempt supply, that is pure exempt supply here, is 15 lakhs is the exempt supply as it is given. And sale of shares is 1% of 10 crores, which is 10 lakhs. So the total exempt supply which is given here is 25 lakhs. 25 lakhs is the total value of exempt supply which is given. So that is your answer to this question. That is 13.1. The 25 lakhs is the answer. That is point number C. Now we come to 13.2. Which of the following statements is true? Number one, Mr. Veera cannot claim ITC on van purchased for delivery of goods, expenses incurred on renovation of showroom, and t-shirts distributed free of cost. This is number one. So here if you see, he has spent the money on van purchased for delivery of goods. Please bear in mind, input tax credit for motor vehicle, which is used for the purpose of transport of goods, can definitely be claimed as an input tax credit, because he's clearly mentioning that the van is used for the purpose of delivery of goods. Expenses incurred for renovation of showroom. For renovation of showroom, if he has put everything in the P&L account, then definitely he can claim the expenses. Definitely he can claim the respective GST as an input tax credit. That is very, very clear. And then t-shirts which are distributed free of cost. T-shirts distributed free of cost. What is the process? So what does he say here? He say here with regard to t-shirts distribute, he purchased t-shirts for 1,80,000. After 1 week, he gave them away free to his customers to promote his business. So therefore, in this particular, he has given it as free samples. So in this particular, the first question, it cannot claim the ITC on the van purchased. Again, straight away, this question is wrong, because he can claim the ITC on van purchase, because motor vehicle for transport of goods, the input tax credit is eligible. So first situation where it mentions that it cannot claim the ITC on van purchased for delivery of the goods. So therefore, first answer on, is incorrect. Very clear. Second one, Mr. Veera can claim the ITC on van purchased for delivery of goods and t-shirts distributed free of cost, but cannot claim ITC on expenses incurred on renovation. This also is incorrect, because renovation of showroom, if he is spending the expenses which are parked in the P&L account, definitely he can claim the input tax credit. So therefore, B mentions that he cannot claim ITC on the expenses incurred on renovation of the showroom. So therefore, that is definitely incorrect. So therefore, B also is not correct. So B point also is false. Third one, Veera can claim ITC on van purchased for delivery, expenses incurred for renovation of showroom, and t-shirts distributed free of cost. So when it comes to distribution of free samples, he is purchasing that and is giving that as a free sample. In that particular situation, definitely the input tax credit cannot be claimed. It is very, very clear. The input tax credit cannot be claimed here, because he is distributing that as a free sample. Though he may purchase, what exactly is telling, he is purchased, which is taxable under GST, but after 1 week, he gave it away free of cost to his customers to promote the business. So free samples, whatever giving, any input tax credit you are claiming, you cannot claim. So therefore, in this particular situation, point number D is the correct answer. He can claim on all the other things, but not for the t-shirts distributed free of cost. So that was the answer for 13.2. Now we come to 13.3. Calculate the amount of input tax credit credited to electronic credit ledger of Mr. Veera. Ignore individual heads of CGST, SGST or IGST. So here what is happening? First, what is the amount of credit which you have taken to the credit ledger? You have to calculate that one. After you calculate that one, the question is also asking as to what is the common credit which is there. Apart from the total credit, what is the common credit which is to be calculated? That also you have to answer. So please try to work out this problem. Yeah. So now let us look at the solution for this one. Total of input tax credit. Now, if you see here, first of all, we have to calculate the total credit. And apart from that, you also have to calculate the common credit. Now, just a second. Let me just share the screen for the solutions. Yeah. So therefore, common credit here, how do we calculate? As I told you here, the total interstate supplies. If you look at the question here, the total interstate supply here is our 1 crore 30 lakhs. Out of this 1 crore 30 lakhs, 20 lakhs is used exclusively for exempt supplies. So therefore, for the purpose of calculating the common input tax credit, we have to remove it, which is exclusively used for the common input tax, which is used for exclusively exempt supplies. So from 1 crore 30,000, we have to remove 20 lakhs, which is used for exempt supplies, which is 80 lakh 30,000 into 18%, which is 14 lakh 45,400. Right? So 14 lakh 45,400 is your common credit after you remove the exempt supplies on a GST on 18% of 80 lakh 30,000. 14 lakh 45,400 is the amount of credit which we have to take into consideration. Now we come to the intrastate supplies. When I say the intrastate supplies, here what does it say? It says total inward supplies is 46 lakhs. From this 46 lakhs, 15 lakhs is exclusively used for taxable supplies. So this 15 lakhs anyways the credit will be eligible, but it is not the common input tax credit. It is basically the credit which is exclusively used for the taxable supplies. So anyways on this 15 lakhs, we have to calculate the GST as well. So therefore, but now since we are calculating the common input tax credit, from this 46 lakhs, we have to remove 15 lakhs. From 46 lakhs, 15 lakhs has to be removed. So therefore, what you get is 31 lakhs. 31 lakhs into 18% is 5 lakh 58,000. So 5 lakh 58,000 is the common input tax credit with regard to intrastate supplies. Now, going back to our question, he has also, apart from the regular purchases, he has undertaken certain specified transactions during the current financial year on which also the input tax credit will be eligible. What has happened here? He has purchased a pickup van for the purpose of delivery of goods to the customers for 1,70,000. So 1,70,000 is the pickup truck which he has purchased. On 1,70,000, 18% is the GST which is applicable. So 30,600 is your GST which is required to be paid on the pickup van. Then apart from pickup van, if you see that he has also renovated his showroom, debited all the expenses under the repairs and maintenance. So if you total up all the expenses, it comes to 10 lakh 2,000. 10 lakh 2,000 is the total expenses which it comes to. On this 18% also will be taken 1,80,360. Now all these are the common input tax credit. So 14,45,400 plus 5,58,000 plus 30,600 plus 1,80,360. That comes to 22,14,360 is the common input tax credit. Now, if you remember, there was another 15 lakhs which is exclusively attributable to taxable supplies. That input tax credit, definitely you can claim. So therefore, 15 lakhs into 18%, which is 2,70,000 also will be added there. So 2,70,000 will be added again to this particular common input tax credit. So therefore, the total input tax credit is 24,84,360 and the common input tax credit is 22,14,360. Fine. Now, if you go back to the question, that is what he is answering here. He's asking here the total input tax credit as well as the common input tax credit. Let me just share that here. So if you see here, he's asking what is the input tax credit which is credited to the electronic credit ledger. This is nothing but the total of the common input tax credit plus the input tax credit which is perfectly attributable to the taxable supplies. So therefore, here the 24,84,360 will be the total amount of ITC which is credited to the credit ledger, and common credit also we have calculated, which is 22,14,360. 22,14,360. 360. So I hope this 13.3a and 13.3b are the answers for 13.3 and 13.4. I hope this question also was clear. Now a few queries. Sir, in 10.2, during ITC calculation, why we reduced 25,000 from 30 lakhs as damaged goods are also purchased? See, 25,000 is removed because the moment the goods are damaged and you have purchased as per 17 subsection 5 blocked credit, you are not eligible to the credit on that because of the damaged goods. Goods are lost, goods are stolen, goods are destroyed. You are not supposed to claim the credit on that particular purchase. That is why we have removed the 25,000 from the 30 lakhs. Sir, for example, transport services received from GTA, can ISD make the payment for the same and distribute the ITC? Definitely it is possible. In case of, let me give you an example. If an input service distributor is there, it is engaging a goods transport agency which is providing the services to multiple branches of the same company. Definitely the ISD can make the payment and accordingly distribute the credit. Definitely that can be done. There is no problem. So I hope your question is clear with this one. So that was your 13th case study which we are discussed in this particular point. Yeah. Now, Mr. Venkat, a practicing chartered accountant based in Hyderabad, is registered under GST in the state of Telangana. He undertook the following transactions or activities during the current financial year. Number one, he provided consultancy services to Quick Tours, a UK-based entity engaged in the business of e-commerce in the field of tours and travels, having its office at UK. Quick Tours paid a sum of euro 95,000 to Mr. Venkat, billed at 75 per euro. Exchange rate also is given. Mr. Venkat made travel to UK several times during the year and incurred euro 5,000 at the rate of 75 incidental expenses, including the VAT paid at 10,000, which was ultimately charged from Quick Tours. Quick Tours also paid a sum of euro 5,000 at rupees 75 to Mr. Venkat as interest on account of delay in payment of agreed consideration. So here what is happening? The concept of value of supply is being tested here. In this case, the CA provides the consultancy services. He is charging some amount from that particular person. Also incidental expenses he is recovering. Also interest on delayed payment also is recovering. So therefore, all that concept is covered here. Then also, Mr. Venkat hired the services of a professional firm based in UK to complete the assignment of providing the services to Quick Tours and paid euro 10,000 at the rate of 75. This was not recovered from Quick Tours. Okay, this was not recovered from Quick Tours. He has hired some person, but he has only paid. He has not recovered that money from Quick Tours. Then, Mr. Venkat's taxable earnings from services provided in India are rupees 85 lakhs. In addition to this, Mr. Venkat also provided return filing services free of charge in the month of July to Indian residents who are economically weaker. Open market value of such services are 1,40,000. So what is doing here? Taxable earnings he is given. Apart from that, he is telling free of charge he can provide the services to the economically weaker section. Whether now we have to take the open market value in such situation or not, which we have to decide. Then in July, what happened? Mr. Venkat also provided financial services to his real brother. I don't know, brother is anyways real. I think he's mentioning own brother here and not a cousin. So therefore, Mr. Venkat also provides financial services to his real brother, Mr. Kamath, who is working at an IT company and earning handsomely for 75,000. That means he's making money, and this Venkat invoice is charged 75,000, but Venkat offered him 90% discount because obviously it is his brother, and Kamath paid 7,500. So here we have to analyze whether in case of value of supply, how much we have to take, whether we have to take 75,000 or 7,500, whether it comes under the related party or not is what we have to understand here and do the problem. Then Dum Dum Electricals Limited, registered under GST in Guwahati, Assam, approached Mr. Venkat to impart GST training to its accounts and finance personnel. Mr. Venkat imparted the said training to 50 employees of Dum Dum Electricals at a conference room of Swaraj Hotel located in Siliguri, West Bengal on 25th August. Very, very interesting. Here what is happening? Now, the client is registered in Guwahati, Assam. It approached Venkat. Where is Venkat? He is in Hyderabad. You give the GST training, but GST training, you give it in West Bengal in one hotel. So here the concept of place of supply is being tested. So therefore, in this situation, what shall be the place of supply is what we have to understand. Then he is also given the rates of tax, 9%, 9%, 18% IGST. All amounts given above are exclusive of taxes wherever applicable. Now, based on the facts of the case, please choose the most appropriate answers. Value of supply made by Mr. Venkat to Quick Tours, 1,20,000, 1,05,000, 1,15,000, 1,25,000. So please try to work out this question. And also the next question is, compute the aggregate turnover of Mr. Venkat for the current financial year. Aggregate turnover of Mr. Venkat, and also value of the supply made to Mr. Kamath. If Kamath is the son of Mr. Venkat, not his brother, what will be the situation? Place of supply, as I told you, that is covered here. So that one also you have to discuss. So one more query, sir, but in page 8.91, in the last para, it is given that ISD itself cannot discharge any tax liability as person liable to pay the tax and remitted to the government account. Please bear in mind, ISD will discharge the tax liability. As in, when I'm talking about discharging the tax liability, it will distribute the credit. That line, what you're telling, what it means is that the ISD as such cannot take the ownership from others and distribute the tax. It will only pay the tax. It will pay the tax on this hand, and it will distribute it later, distribute the credit. So once you take the credit, you distribute the credit. Here, the person liable to pay the tax in this particular situation is basically collecting the amount from the customers. The ISD cannot collect the money from the customers. That is what here it means, because ISD has a separate registration altogether. The main function of the ISD is to distribute the credit among the respective branches of the company. That is basically the meaning. So when it says ISD cannot discharge the tax liability, that means the ISD cannot take the mantle of collecting the taxes from the respective customer. That is what it means. I hope this point is clear. Anyways, I'll also look at it, and in case you still have a doubt, please feel free to email me or post it here. I will check at it, and because it is not, since it is not related to what we are discussing today, I'll give a subsequent clarification based on this particular concept. So therefore, let us look at the question here one by one. Compute the value of supply made by Mr. Venkat to Quick Tours. So therefore here, if you look at the supplies, consultancy services to Quick Tours, here he paid a sum of 95,000. So number one, so this 95,000 basically is your sale. 95,000 is your sale. So in case of the first question, consultancy services, 95,000 euros needs to be taken into consideration. Apart from that, he made the travel to UK several times and incurred 5,000 as incidental expenditure. So value of supply, any expenditure which is incidental to the supply also has to be taken in the value of supply. So 5,000 euros also needs to be added. Apart from this, it also paid a sum of 5,000 as interest on account of delay in payment of consideration. Section 15 value of supply is very, very clear. It says that in case there is a delay in payment and in case there is an interest or penalty which is charged, that particular amount also will be added to the value of supply. Okay, the time of supply shall be the time on which it has received the respective consideration. So that definitely will be added. So 95,000 will come, 5,000 will come, another 5,000 interest on account of delay will come. Then the next line says that Venkat also hired the services of a professional firm based in UK to complete the assignment and paid euro 10,000 at rupees 75. This was not recovered from Quick Tour. So here what is happening? He has hired another particular person and is paid him 10,000. But this is not recovering from Quick Tours. So since he is not recovering from that Quick Tours, in this particular situation, this $10,000 euros cannot be added to the consideration. So therefore, the consideration will be 95,000 plus 5,000 plus another 5,000. 1,05,000 B is the value of supply which is made by Mr. Venkat to Quick Tours. So that was your 14.1. Now we come to 14.2. Compute the aggregate turnover of Mr. Venkat for the current financial year. Now he has also provided the service which is in euros, so that you have to convert and see. That is basically nothing but 1,05,000 euros into 75. So 78,75,000 will anyways come. Apart from this, we have to see what are the other turnover, which other receipts which he has made. That totaling will have to come to the answer of this. So if you come back to the question, what all he is doing, let us see. So first one, consultancy services we are anyways taking. Now, Venkat's taxable earnings for services provided in India for the financial year are 85 lakhs. Okay, 85 lakhs is given. So this 85 lakhs will be added, of course, to because it is straight away the taxable services which are given. And then apart from this, what is the next one? Venkat also provided return filing service free of charge. So without consideration, if you are providing the supply, if it is not a related person or if it is not a distinct person, we need not take the open market value of supply as the value of the supply. So in that case, since it is free of charge, you straight away take 0 as the supply. So therefore, for economically weaker persons, if he is not charging anything, even though the open market value is 1,40,000, we need not take that amount because this economically weaker person is not a relative or a distinct person. Right? So therefore, this will not come into consideration. So 1,05,000 euros into 75. So that will be 78,75,000 plus 85 lakhs is your taxable earning as you have told. So that will be 1,63,75,000. Now again, this economically weaker person will not come. Now we go to the next point. Venkat also provided financial services to his brother. Please remember, as per the definition of relative in GST, the brother will come as a relative only if he is wholly dependent on the taxpayer. But here it is clearly given that this person is already working in an IT company and is making good money. So the moment it is mentioned, it's very clear that the brother is not dependent on Mr. Venkat. So in that particular situation, it doesn't fall under the definition of the term relative. So therefore, open market value here also need not be consideration. You can take straight away 7,500 as the value of supply. So therefore, if you see, the answer will be 1,05,000 euros into 75, that is 78,75,000. Then 85 lakhs is the taxable earnings. Free service economically, as I told, is 0. And for the brother, whatever you charge, it is taken because it is not a relative. So open market value need not be considered. 7,500 you can take as the value of supply. So 78,75,000 plus 85,000 plus 7,500, the total value in this particular situation, that is question number 2. That is your aggregate turnover will be 1,63,82,500 rupees. This is the total value of supply which is given here. Now going 14.3. What is the value of supply made by Mr. Venkat to Mr. Kamath? If Mr. Kamath is the son of Mr. Venkat and not his brother, other facts remaining the same. Now, in case it is a son, it does not matter whether it is dependent or not. It still comes under the definition of a related person. So therefore, if it comes under the definition of related person, it is very, very clear. In that particular situation, the open market value has to be taken into consideration, which is nothing but 75,000. 75,000 will be the value of supply in case this Kama Venkat is given the services to his son and not his brother. Then the next one, place of supply related provision. Place of supply of the GST training imparted by Mr. Venkat to the accounts and finance personnel is the following. Please bear in mind that if the recipient is a registered person, so here this Dumdum Electricals is a registered person. This Dumdum Electricals is located in Guwahati, Assam, but training is provided to to the employees in Siliguri, West Bengal. It doesn't matter. The moment the recipient is registered, the place of supply will be the location of recipient of the services. So therefore, in this particular situation, location of recipient is Guwahati, Assam, because this Dumdum Electricals is there, and so place of supply is Guwahati, Assam. Service provider, anyways, it's secondary. She's just asking the place of supply. So the answer here will be Guwahati, Assam. I hope this question is clear. Yes, Sailesh, I have received your email. I was thinking, in fact, your name appeared familiar. So I was just wondering. I've received your email, but I was very tight down with some of the audit work. I've seen all your queries. Don't worry. I will respond to each one of them. Fine. Just give me a 3-4 days time. I'll give you the response. I've got your email. In fact, when I saw your name, I was wondering, it appeared very familiar, and turns out that you have asked the queries. No problem. I will give the answers, give the queries to your this thing. I've received the email. I'll just send you the solutions for that. Fine. So now let us take a short break, and post that we will look at further case study based MCQs before we wind up for today. Thank you very much. See you in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, Namita, I could understand that you joined late because when I was discussing the 10th question, you were asking me the doubts for the 8th one. No problem. You can try to answer the question now. Now we come back to the next question, which is question number 15. Let us go through this particular question. Jaskaran, a registered supplier of Delhi, is engaged in supplying a bouquet of taxable goods and services. He has made the following supplies in the month of January. Supply of 20,000 packages at rupees 30 each to Sukija gift shop in Punjab. Each package consists of 2 chocolates, 2 fruit juice bottles, and packet of toy balloons. Amount is 6 lakhs. Number 2, 500 packages each consisting of 1 chocolate and 1 fruit juice bottle given as a free gift to Delhi customers on the occasion of Diwali. Cost of each package is rupees 12, but open market value of such package of goods and of goods of like kind and quality is not available. Input tax credit has not been taken on the items contained in the package. Right. So this also is an important point. And catering services provided to elder brother free of cost for his business function in Delhi. Cost of providing said services 55,000, but the open market value of such services and of service of like kind and quality is not available. Right. So this also is mentioned. Following additional information has been furnished by Jaskaran. Penalty of 10,000 was collected in lump sum in the month of March from Sukija gift shop, since the payment was received with a delay of 60 days, right? So here he is getting a delay in payment. So this also will be included in the value of the supply as per section 15, which we have seen in the past. Then one of the old customers of Jaskaran, Mr. Bahubali, approached him requesting him to arrange the transportation of the goods purchased by him from a local supplier. Jaskaran arranged the transportation of the said goods from Mr. Bahubali through a goods transport agency. Jaskaran did not issue a consignment note to Mr. Bahubali. So the critical aspect in this particular point is the issuance of the consignment note. Please bear in mind that for categorizing a particular person as a goods transport agency, the most important point which has to be checked is whether he is issuing a consignment note or not. So in this particular situation, it is very, very clearly given that here Mr. Jaskaran did not issue a consignment note to Mr. Bahubali. So whatever transportation service which is being provided by Mr. Jaskaran is not in the nature of this one, is not in the nature of goods transport agency. That is the issue, right? So now we look at the respective queries here, the GST rates and all. Now, based on the facts of the case scenario, choose the most appropriate answer to, and also rates of GST he has given: chocolates, fruit juice bottles, toy balloons, catering service. If you look here, this first question and second question is basically dedicated, talks about the concept of mixed supply and composite supply. So when it is mixed supply, what is the rate of tax which you have to take into consideration? When it is composite supply, what is the rate of tax which you have to take into consideration is covered in this particular question. So rates of tax is given. Now additional information also is provided. Now let us try to answer this question. Based on the facts of the case, choose the most appropriate answer. GST payable on packages supplied to Sukija gift shop in Jan and in March is dash and dash respectively. First one, IGST 1,09,526 and 2 nil. Second, CGST 54,760, SGST 54,763 and 2 nil. See, IGST 1,08,000, IGST 1,526, CGST 54,000, SGST 54,000 and CGST 763, 760. GST on services of transportation of goods provided by Mr. Jaskaran to Mr. Bahubali is payable by Mr. Bahubali at the rate of 5%, payable by Jaskaran at the rate of 12%, payable by Bahubali at the rate of 12%, not payable at all. Supply of 500 packages given as free gift, whether it is a mixed, not a supply, composite, separate supply. Then value of catering services is asking. So please try to answer these questions in question number 15 based on the facts of the case which is given. Yeah. Now, if we look at the solutions here, first of all, that is the first question. What does it ask? First question, GST payable on packages supplied to Sukija gift shop in January and in March. So therefore, here for the month of January, what is the amount? And for the month of March, what is the amount is required to be calculated. Why the month of March also is given? Because if you observe here, this Sukija, it says payment was received with a delay of 60 days. Sukija, it says that it is received with a delay of 60 days. So once 60 days delay is happening, that is in the month of January. So therefore, March month will only come because the date of receipt of consideration is to be taken as the time of supply with regard to interest on delayed payment. So now when we come to the calculation of the amount here, first of all, why the mentioned IGST, CGST, SGST also is given. So here the supplier is located in Delhi. First transaction, 20,000 packages at 30 rupees each to Sukija gift shop in Punjab. Therefore, it is an interstate supply, which is very, very clear. So the moment you say it is an interstate supply, what happens? It is IGST will be applicable. No, so 6 lakhs is the value of the supply. So what is the rate which has to be taken? Now in each package, there is chocolates, there is fruit juice bottles and the packet of toy balloons. So in this particular situation, you will have whichever is the highest rate of tax, as we told in mixed supply. This is a mixed supply wherein there is no principal supply. All three supplies are individual supply. So there is no principal supply as such here. So in this particular situation, if it is a mixed supply, the rate at which the highest rate which is applicable to each product is to be considered for the purpose of calculation of the GST. So therefore, in these three things, if you look at chocolate, if you look at fruit juice bottles, if you look at toy balloons, in these three, which is the highest rate of tax? The highest rate of tax is 18%, which is applicable to chocolates. So mixed supply entire 6 lakhs, you have to consider 18% as the respective GST. So therefore, 1,08,000 IGST will be applicable on this particular aspect. Now, if you look at the second point, so this 500 packages each, cost of package, put VAT value, input tax rate has not been taken into consideration. So here what is happening? It is given as a free gift. So the moment it is given at a free gift for an unrelated person, the open market value is not relevant in any way. Open market value is to be taken as the value of the supply. Only if the products are supplied to a related person or a distinct person by virtue of rule number 28. But in case if it is given free of cost to an unrelated person, we need not take that value, it is 0. Then next one, catering services provided to elder brother free of cost for his business function in Delhi. Again, brother, if you see, is taken to be a related person only if he is dependent on the particular said supplier. If he is not dependent on the said supplier, in that particular situation, he will not be treated as a related person. So therefore, whatever value you charge from him, it can be free of cost or it can be lesser cost, that only has to be taken. So here 0 is to be taken as the value because here he is not taken any amount. And that open market value of 55,000 is not relevant in any way. Then penalty of rupees 10,000 was collected in lump sum in the month of March, since the payment was received with a delay of 60 days. So 10,000, now here 10,000 was already collected, he still. So the moment you say it is already collected, that means you are to make an assumption here that this 10,000 should be including GST. For the above transactions, he says that it excludes GST, but this 10,000 he has not mentioned anything. So we have to make an assumption that this 10,000 is including GST, which is 10,000 into 18 by 118, which is 1526. So therefore here 1,08,000 initially plus 1526 is basically the answer to this question. So 1,08,000 plus 1526. So the answer will be point number C, that is 15.1. Point number C. 1,08,000, you got the answer correct. But in March 1,800, I think you have assumed it to be excluding GST. That's fine. Please make an assumption. But again, here, since the option it doesn't have, does the option have 1,800 here, which we have to see. The option doesn't have 1,800 here. So when you're working out this problem and you get 1,800 rupees, then obviously since it is not in the option, it should immediately strike you that the options are given, considering that the interest for delayed payment is deemed including GST, because he's telling the delayed payment is already charged. So once you are charging the amount and you're not collecting the extra amount of GST from that particular person, you have to deem it as including the GST. Now we come to 15.2. GST on services of transportation of goods provided by Jaskaran to Bahubali is payable by Bahubali at 5%, payable by Jaskaran at 12%, payable by Bahubali at 12%, is not payable at top. Yeah. So here, if you see, as I told you, in this case, Jaskaran here, he has not issued a consignment note. So the moment he is not issuing a consignment note, the transportation services what is provided is not as a goods transport agency. So if you see here, he arranged the transportation of goods through a goods transport operator. So the transaction between Bahubali and Jaskaran, since he is not a goods transport agency, GST here is not payable at all. Please bear in mind the transportation services GST will come only if it is a goods transport agency. If you as an individual provide the transport agency, transport services, then in that particular situation, there is no question of any GST which is applicable, right? So that is your answer to 15.2. Now we come to 15.3. Supply of 500 packages given as a free gift to Delhi customers on the occasion of Diwali is a mixed supply, is not a supply, composite supply, a separate supply of chocolate and fruit juice bottle. Now, very, this is a tricky and interesting question. So here what is happening? Now he is supplying it to a Delhi person. He is given free of cost. So the moment you are giving free of cost, that means there is no consideration. Separation in the concept of supply, we would have studied that in certain specific cases, if there is no considerations, it is to be categorized as supply. One of the aspect in that is supply made to the related persons or a distinct persons. In this particular situation, when you are giving a free gift to an unrelated person, that means there is no consideration. Once there is no consideration, and once it is not given specifically in that respective schedule, it does not come in the term supply at all. It is not at all a supply at the first place, because for a tough supply to happen, there has to be a consideration. If it does not have consideration, it has to be mentioned in the schedule. So therefore, here there is no consideration, but it is not covered in the respective schedule as well. So therefore, in this case, it is not at all a supply. Very tricky question. You have to answer it very carefully. So 15.3, the answer is B. That is, it is not a supply at all. Right? Now, the next one. Now, GST payable by Jaskaran is 12% is not the answer here. See, it's very simple. Exemption, clearly one entry is there. If you are engaged in transportation of goods, as not being a goods transport agency, there is no question of GST on that. You have to be a goods transport agency, only then the GST is applicable. Please revise the exemptions chapter clearly. Now, let us go to the next question, 15.4. For the purpose of GST law, value of supply of catering services provided by Jaskaran to his elder brother free of cost for his business function in Delhi is what? Again, very tricky question. Here, this also is a very tricky question. This 15th question, everything is a very tricky question here. Again, here what is happening? If you see, he is providing his brother free of cost for his business function. Again, open market value will be considered only when he provides the respective service. Open market value will be considered only if he is providing the respective service to a related person or a distinct person. Here, he is providing the service to his brother. Now, his elder brother is providing the service. Brother will be counted as a related person only when he is totally dependent on the supply. So, in this case, if you see, if he is not totally dependent, the fact that is dependent is not dependent is nowhere mentioned. So, if you assume that he is not dependent, the value of supply will be nil only. You cannot take it as the open market value of supply, because the brother will come as a relative only if he is dependent on it. So therefore, here the answer is D, which is nil. Okay, but only thing is, here it says that it is not a supply, but it is definitely a supply which is free of cost. But the words not a supply is mentioned because no consideration. For a supply to exist, there has to be a consideration. If there is no consideration, it has to be covered in the schedule. Right? That is why this term is mentioned here. So 15.4, the answer is D. Very tricky questions. Now we come to the next question, that is 16. Sudharshan Transport Agency Private Limited, hereinafter refers to as STAL, registered under GST in Jaipur, Rajasthan, is providing this service by way of transportation of goods by road, for which it issues the consignment notes to all the sectors of industry. So therefore, here very clearly, please write it beside that question, that since it issues the transport as consignment note, it is to be considered as a goods transport agency. Right? It is to be considered as a goods transport agency. Then, it maintains trucks, trollers, advanced carriages for heavy loads, lorries and small tractors for the purpose of transportation and renting purposes. It also maintains a special vehicle which has special storage features and all other advanced facilities for transporting defense equipment, other complex machinery, chemical and food products. This entire paragraph is given just for you to waste your time, right? Big questions always have some irrelevant information which is given. So we'll try to read this paragraph if it comes in the examination very fast. Don't give much attention to that. It has provided the following details for the current financial year. Number one, STAL rendered transportation service to farmers in Punjab for transportation of agricultural produce to nearby cities for 2 lakh rupees. Transportation services for transportation of agricultural produce is an exempt supply. It is an exempt supply. So therefore, immediately right here, beside that first point, it is an exempt supply. Second one, STAL gives bus on rent to higher secondary school in Rajasthan affiliated to CBSE and charged 5 lakhs for the same during the year. For an education institution, that is a school which is providing any qualification recognized by the law for the time being in force, inward supply of transportation also is exempt. So therefore, point number 2, since CBSE school is there, transportation services is given for the students, it is an exempt supply. It is an exempt supply. Then the third one, STAL also has a contract with local authority in Rajasthan to provide the services by way of transportation of relief material to flood affected victims, for which 2,50,000 is charged. This also totally purely exempt. Okay, contract with local authority providing the services transportation of relief material for flood affected victims, it is exempt. 2,50,000, very clear. Then Money Bank, registered in Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh, sent its branch manager, Mr. Champak, on 1-year deputation on a special project to Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Mr. Champak's family is stationed in Kanpur. Money Bank enters into a contract with STAL for transportation of the household goods of Mr. Champak from Kanpur to Bhopal for 1,50,000. So here what is happening? The bank is registered in Bareilly. The bank enters with STAL for the transportation. So therefore, the recipient is registered here. So therefore, place of supply, in case the recipient is registered, in case of transport of goods, it will be the location of the recipient. So based on that, we have to work out. STAL transported equipments to military camps, which also availed special storage facility from STAL, and amount charged for such services is 5,50,000. So military camp also it is providing the services. Now, for this military camp, we have to see this also is covered under the exemption entry. So that is what you have to remember. This question is purely based on exemptions. You need to have a proper knowledge of the exemptions topic in case you want to properly answer this question. STAL provides service of transportation of goods to cooperative society, which was newly constituted, hence was not registered. Amount charged was 3 lakhs. While transporting the goods of the said cooperative society, STAL generated e-way bill on Monday at 2 p.m. The goods were transported for a distance of 220 kilometers. Now, e-way bill validity for 1 day, it is 200 kilometers. More than 200 kilometers, if any kilometers are there or part thereof, another 1 day will be added. So in this particular situation, it is 220 kilometers. So 200 kilometers, 220. So 2 days will be the validity. Based on that, you have to try to work out the problem. STAL owns and maintains its own petrol pump, where the revenue from the supply of petrol is 20 lakhs. Okay, so revenue from supply of petrol exempt includes the non-GST supply. So therefore, this is a non-GST supply. This also has to be taken into consideration. Assume that GST is payable on transportation in the aforesaid case scenario at the following rates, unless otherwise specified. Intrastate supply 6% CGST, 6% SGST. Interstate supply 12% IGST. All the above amounts are excluded of GST wherever applicable. Based on the facts of the case, choose the most appropriate answer. Determine the value of outward supply made by STAL, which are exempt from GST. Please try to answer this question. We have to calculate the value of the outward supply, which is exempt from GST. Which entry military point exemption is covered? I will tell you this point. I don't remember the exact entry now. I'll have to check the respective presentation and I will tell you. I think defense equipment, it will be mentioned in the entry. Just check once. Defense equipment. If you look at the presentation of mine, then you'll see, I think there is a entry which talks about relief material, newspaper, magazines. There, I think this military equipment or defense equipment also is mentioned. So I think you'll be able to spot it in that particular entry. I don't remember the entry number, but it is definitely very much there. Yeah. So therefore, if you look at the answer for this particular question, okay, I got one answer. Others? Yeah. So therefore, aggregate value of exempt supply. First one, we have to take the transport of agricultural produce, that is 2 lakh rupees. Amount what you are charged from the school, inward supply. Okay. So agricultural produce transportation 2 lakhs, take it, and 5 lakh CBSE school has to be taken. And then transportation of relief material 2,50,000 also has to be taken into consideration. Military camp 5,50,000. 15 lakhs is there. Again, the twist in this problem. We will always tend to ignore the revenue from supply of petrol. Please remember, exempt supply also includes the supply which is subject to nil rate of tax and also supply which is not leviable to GST. So therefore, even petrol has to be taken in the value of exempt supply. This is where the common misconception will be there. So add 20 lakhs petrol also, and the total value of exempt supply will be 35 lakhs. So the answer is A. That is 35 lakhs. Now you come to the second one. Place of supply of services of transportation of household. Now this is a simple one. Please try to answer this. Place of supply of services of transportation of household goods of Mr. Champak provided by Stull. A lot of revision is required by everyone because the answers what I'm getting. Place of supply again is very, very critical. Please read the question very, very carefully. What is he asking in this particular question? Transportation of goods. Now let us go back here. Money Bank is located in Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. Sent its branch manager on 1-year deputation. right? Champak's family. Now, the contractor is between Money Bank and STAL. Now, where is STAL located? STAL is located in Jaipur, Rajasthan. Money Bank is located in Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. Now, in case of transportation of goods from one place to the other, the place of supply is always the location of recipient if the recipient is registered. Okay, that is in section 13, it is clearly given. Recipient registered means location of recipient is the place of supply. Only when the recipient is not registered, then the place where the goods are handed over, that is your Bhopal, will be the place of supply. Now, in the answers, I was already getting D was one of the answer. D is Bhopal. So don't blindly think where the goods are handed over. That place is the place of supply. That will come, but only if the recipient is not registered. But in this case, the recipient is registered. The recipient is registered. So therefore, location of the recipient is important. Location of recipient is Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. So therefore, in this case, B will be the correct answer. So place of supply is Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. So request you to read the provisions very thoroughly. If you're able to answer this correctly, then that means your preparation is good. Otherwise, you need to still work on your preparation. Now, calculate the aggregate turnover of STAL for the current financial year. Please try to work out this one. Please try to answer this one. Aggregate turnover of STAL for the current financial year. Amita, first you told D and then you're telling B, but in exam you can write only one answer. So in exam you have to make sure that you write the correct. Yes, any answers for 16.3? Done. 16.3, yes, finally some correct answers. 16.3, as we see, aggregate turnover is the gross of exempt and taxable turnover. So exempt turnover is 35 lakhs as we just calculated on top. And what is the taxable turnover? Do we have any taxable turnover here? If you see, he has yeah. So 1,50,000 is charged for the transportation of goods, and also this cooperative society 3 lakhs is transport. So 3 lakhs plus 1,50,000 is 4,50,000, which is the taxable supply, which is added to 35 lakhs. So the total of 39,50,000 is the aggregate turnover. Now the next one, 16.4, determine the period of validity of e-way bill generated by STAL for transporting the goods of the cooperative society. As I told you, e-way bill validity for 1 day for 200 kilometers, more than 200 kilometers, it is 2 days. So when you're always calculating the e-way bill, you have to, that particular day, 12 a.m. plus the next day, plus 2 days has to be taken into consideration. So based on that, try to work out this problem. Yeah. Any further answers for this? Therefore, in this particular situation, e-way bill, let us look at the question. Cooperative society generated e-way bill on Monday at 2 p.m. So on Monday at 2 p.m. if it generates, then always it will be Monday 12 in the midnight, Tuesday. So therefore, the e-way bill 2 days calculation will start from 12 a.m. in the midnight. So Monday, Tuesday. So Monday night, 11:59, Tuesday 12 a.m. plus 2 days will be the validity of the e-way bill, which is nothing but Wednesday at 12 a.m. and Thursday. So therefore, Wednesday, Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday means Monday plus 2, Tuesday plus 2. So Wednesday, Thursday at 12 midnight will be the validity of the e-way bill generated. So it will be valid till Wednesday, Thursday, midnight. Wednesday, Thursday, midnight it will be valid. So Monday, 12 a.m. Why I'm telling 2 days here? Because the midnight, the day changes. So that's why since Monday, 12 a.m. plus 2 days. So it will be Monday plus 2 Wednesday and Tuesday plus 2 Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday at 12 midnight will be the validity of the e-way bill. Now we come to 16.5. Another tricky question, whether the tax is required to be deducted under section 51 of the CGST Act 2017 for the service provided by STAL to local authority in Rajasthan. Very tricky question. Try to answer. Many of you answered B for 16.4. 16.4 B usually we tend to answer, but please remember e-way bill provisions. If you see that 12 a.m. midnight is clearly mentioned in the rules. So therefore, please bear in mind that 12 a.m. we should be taken as the benchmark and not the day on which the time at which the goods transfer. Good, correct answer. If you see local authority, whatever supply is happening, it is an exempt supply. So the moment it is an exempt supply, there is no question of tax which is supposed to be deducted under section 51. So therefore, the answer is D. There is no tax which is required to be deducted because it is an exempt supply. Fine. So I hope you got this answer also clear. Now we go to the next question. Messrs. Harimukund Hardware, a partnership firm registered under GST in the state of Uttar Pradesh, is engaged in the supply of door and window fittings across India. In the month of October, it made the following outward supplies. Name of the receiver is mentioned, Messrs. Mand Kishore Traders, Haryana. Taxable value 5,75,000. It says excluding discount given if any. So if any discount is given, you have to reduce from it. Date of invoice is 10th October. Date of receipt of payment is 25th October. Date of removal of goods is 10th October. Please bear in mind, since this is a supply of goods, date of receipt of payment is not relevant to us in any way. So please ignore that. Take the other two events and work out. Then Messrs. Charanjot Hardwares and Fitters, 3,25,000. Ranaji Hardware, Rajasthan. Annapurai Hardwares, Karnataka. Right. So these are what is given here. Then what are the values? Mankishore Traders 5,75,000, 325,000 Charanjot, Ranaji 2,70,000, Annapurai 3,75,000. Applicable tax rate on supply of above goods 18%. Goods are generally received by parties in Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan on second day from the date of removal, where it takes 5 days to reach Karnataka. Okay, so here what is happening? Goods are generally received on second day from the date of removal. Okay, Harimukund Hardware gives 2% cash discount to its customers where the payment is received in advance or within 15 days from the date of removal of goods. So here you have to see whenever it is received in advance or whenever it is received within 15 days from the date of removal of goods. So you have to see that very carefully here. And respective credit note is also issued immediately. For the cash discount, credit note also is given. The buyer also takes necessary legal action with respect to such credit note immediately. To supply for such goods as aforesaid, it receives services from a local GTA named Messrs. Katushyam Transporters, who's an unregistered, who raises consolidated invoice for 1 lakh on 22nd October, for which payment was made on 27th December, along with the payment for the month of November. Assuming the tax rate on services is 2.5, 2.5. That means RCM. Based on the facts of the case scenario, choose the most correct appropriate answer. This is a question is based on time of supply. So you have to choose what is the correct time of supply. Very, very simple. 17.1. What is the time of supply of goods in case of goods supplied to Messrs. Charanjot Hardwares and Fitters? Okay, Charanjot Hardwares and Fitters. What is the time of supply in these 3 dates? Please try to answer this question. Sir, which is next question? 17th. Are you not able to see that? Seventeenth is the next question. I hope you are able to see this. Yes. Yeah. So 17.1. What is basically your in this particular situation? For goods, it's very simple. It is either the date of invoice or the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So in the first situation, in case of Nandkishore Traders, is the first question is Charanjot Hardwares and Fitters. Date of invoice is 12th October. Date of removal is 10th October. So therefore, the earlier date is 10th of October. Date of receipt of November is not relevant in any way. So 10th October will be the time of supply. Then time of supply of goods in case of goods supplied to Messrs. Rana Singh Ji Hardware Products. Rana Singh Ji Hardware Products. Date of invoice is 17th October. Date of receipt of payment is 12th October. Date of removal of goods is 20th October. In this particular situation, here the time of supply again will be the earlier of the dates which is required. Date of receipt of payment, as I told you, is not relevant in any way. Date of invoice is 17th October. Date of removal of goods is 20th October. So the earlier date in this is 17th October. So 17th October, if you see, is the date in case of Ranaji Hardware Products. Very, very simple and straightforward questions. 17.3. What is the time of supply with respect to services supplied by Katushyam Transporters? Now, this is a slightly tricky question. Please try to answer this. To supply such goods as aforesaid, it receives services from a local GTA named Messrs. Katushyam Transporters, who raised consolidated invoice for 1 lakh, for which payment was made on 27th December. Yeah. So if you see here, with regard to the transporters, when it comes to reverse charge mechanism, you have to look at either the date of payment or the date following 60 days from the date of the invoice, whichever is earlier. This is what you have to do for calculating this. Date of payment is not relevant with regard to the respective supply of goods. Date of payment is relevant only for services. It has been changed. Unfortunately, I don't think I've taken the time of supply topic, so I'll not be able to comment on that. But it's very simple for goods. I mean, to give you more clarity on that, for time of supply in this particular situation, it is very, very clear that this you have the receipt of payment is not relevant in any way, right? So that is not to be taken. Rate of receipt of payment is different, so that has to be taken. Now, when it comes to the goods transport agency, 60 days from the date of invoice or the date of payment, whichever is earlier, has to be taken into consideration. So here, if you see, consolidated invoice raised on 22nd October, so 60 days following, the day following 60 days of the date of invoice, that comes to 22nd December or 27 December, whichever is earlier. So the answer here is 22nd December. That is 17.3. The answer is 22nd December. Now, another very tricky question. What is the gross tax liability attributable to outward supplies of Harimukund hardware for the month of October? Please try to work out this. Please make sure you have to look at the points with regarding to cash discount so that you work out the correct. Yeah. So therefore, if you see here, with regard to this particular question, what is the liability? So first of all, you have to see that everything is IGST only because supplier is in Uttar Pradesh, whereas all the customers are outside that particular state. So therefore, in this particular point, which we have to take care of the IGST component along with the cash discount. So cash discount, if you see here, 2% cash discount is given to the customers where the payment is received in advance, fine, and or within 15 days from the date of removal of the goods. So 2% cash discount, if you see, so if the within the date of removal, within 15 days you have to get. So here in Nandkishore Traders, the payment is received within 15 days, if you see here. And in this particular situation, Annapurai Hardwares, again, no, here it is received later. In Ranaji Hardware, it is received much before the date of removal itself. So these two need to be taken for the purpose of discount. So 5,75,000 into 2%. If you reduce, it will become 5,63,500. 5,63,500. Please make a note of it somewhere. Nandkishore Traders taxable value after discount is 5,63,500. Now, in case of Charanjot, it will remain at 3,25,000. And for Ranaji, it is 2,70,000. So 11,58,500 will come. Then from 375 also 2% you remove, which is 3,67,500. 3,67,500. 3,57,500. So here, if you see, date of removal of goods, 2% cash discount, where the payment is received in advance or within 15 days from the date of removal of goods. So here, date of removal of goods is 10th October, within 15 days he is getting. 10th October, this is more than that. Date of removal of goods, 20th October. Date of receipt of payment is 12th October. Fine. So therefore, just give me 1 second. I'm just doing calculations. Yeah. So therefore, let me just do the calculations on the other document so that you'll be able to see it. 1 second. Because I've so if you see here, if you look at the MCQ, 5,75,000. So value of supply, 5,75,000. Okay. Minus 2% cash discount. 5,75,000 into 2% cash discount, which is 11,500. 5,75,000 into 2% cash discount, 11,500. So balance will be rupees 563,500. This is with regard to Nandkishore Traders. Now Charanjot Hardwares. Charanjot Hardwares will be what is given here, that is 3,25,000. Then Rana Singh Ji, again here also the discount will be given, 2,70,000 into 2%. So 2,70,000 minus 5,400 is 264,600. Then Annapurai Hardware will be the same, no discount whatsoever, 3,75,000. So the total of this plus 375 is total will be 1528,100. Okay, so IGST, everything is IGST, which is 18%, will be 275,058. 275,058. Okay, so this is basically your IGST, which is okay. So this is your the first point. The third question, fourth question here, 275,058 IGST will be the gross tax liability attributable to outward supply. Fine. Then the next one, total value of all supplies involved on which he has to liable to pay the tax. This is also a very simple, straightforward question. Yeah, here the total value again 1528,100 you already have, but if you see here, there is 1 lakhs consolidated invoice of the GTA. So this also, since it is reverse charge mechanism, it has to be paid by Harimukund Hardware only, and then under reverse charge mechanism, and then claim the credit. So 1528,100 plus 1 lakh, 1628,100 will be the answer for the 17.5 question. right? So that was your 17th question. Sir, I have not taken time of supply class. Please clarify. Oh, you have to do it immediately. Please don't miss the class. Very, very important topic. Please, please, please attend it immediately. Date of payment, initially for time of supply, the date of payment was there. Initially when the GST law first came, that time receipt of payment was there. But if you should understand one thing, before 2017, there was no question of VAT on the date of, on the receipt of payment. On receipt of amount, there was no question of VAT. Okay. So therefore, once the government put GST on that, the trade community did not take it lightly. The trade community started protesting. So the government was forced to remove that particular date. So therefore, on advance payment, there is no question of GST in case of supply of goods. So date of payment, that is why for goods is not relevant. Fine, I hope this point is clear, but I request you to please attend the time of supply class because it is a very, very important subject which is required for the examination point of view. So that was your yeah, so that was your point regarding to point number 17. Now we come to point number 18. ABC Private Limited, a company registered under GST in the state of Uttar Pradesh, manufactures the products which are used in labs. The products are manufactured in the company's factory located in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, and sold in various parts of Uttar Pradesh. The company also provides repairs and maintenance services for the products. Details of turnover also is given below. First financial year, 75 lakhs turnover from supply of goods. Second financial year, 1 crore 2 lakhs. 1 crore 2 lakhs, yeah. Turnover from supply of services, 7 lakh 10,000, 9 lakh 25,000. Interest income from extending loans to others, 5 lakh 25,000 and 6 lakh 26,000. The company procures service of Messrs. Ram Enterprises, the goods transport agency having its place of business in Lucknow for transport of goods. Ram Enterprises prepares a regular consignment note containing the details of consignor and consignee and other prescribed details. Services provided are chargeable to tax at the rate of 5%. So April to June quarters are given here. Turnover of supply of goods 10 lakh 20, supply of services 92 550, interest income from extending deposit 5,000, amount charged for services from RAM 50,000, raw material 5 lakh 26,000, input services 789. Additional information is given here. Raw material mentioned in point 5 above, received by ABC Private Limited in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, including goods amounting to 2,26,000, received from Akash Enterprises on the instructions received from Messrs. Abhijat Enterprises. Messrs. Akash Enterprises has its principal place of business in UP, whereas Abhijat has its principal place of business in Gujarat. Vidata Foundation, a charitable trust registered under 12AB, has been set up by the founders for conducting charitable activities. The trust organizes sessions on yoga and spirituality and charges the participation fees. Total fees is 2.5 lakhs. Input services during the said month is 125 to 60. Also analyzing the proposal of granting rights to advertise on its premises. Now let us look at the questions. Please try to answer this question as an exercise problem, as a homework problem. Very simple problem. Whether the service provided by Messrs. Ram to ABC is chargeable to tax? If yes, who will discharge the tax liability? Now, if you look at this question, I'll give you the hints. Please try to answer. Here, what is happening? ABC is procuring services of Ram, having place of business in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, for transport from factory. Ram prepares regular consignment note. This is what is happening here. So your question is whether the service provided by Ram is chargeable to tax. If yes, who will discharge the tax liability? Right? So therefore, whatever service is provided by Ram in this particular situation, it's a goods transport agency. It's a reverse charge mechanism or not is the question what is asked here. So please try to answer this. Second one, whether ABC could have opted for composition levy for the current financial year. Okay, this question talks about the composition levy wherein up to a total turnover and up to a certain percentage of services you can opt. You can do both the turnover of goods and both the turnover of services if it is to that extent. So based on 10.1 and 10.2, this question is asked Again, please try to answer this. Assuming ABC has opted for a composition scheme, what will be the total GST liability? Again, this also is a pretty tricky question. Look at the input tax credit calculations and accordingly try to work out this. This is 18.4 is related to exemptions. In case of Vidata Foundation, which of the statements is incorrect? You have to look at this. Exemptions topic, you know for that. Place of supply for supply between ABC, Abhijat and Akash. This is a bill to ship transaction. You need to have proper understanding with regard to your place of supply provisions for answering this particular question. Right. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. You can also view some of the case study MCQs videos. Let me just tell you when I have taken that. Some of the questions are pretty similar, though that was for the November 2021 attempt, but you can also view that. Now, just give me a second. I will tell you for which dates those are there. So all the other MCQs, the MCQs what I discussed now and what are there, most of the questions we had discussed at that particular point. The session took place on July 3rd, 2021. July 3rd and July 6th, 2021. In fact, July 1st also. July 1st, July 3rd and July 6th. These three were exhaustive problem solving sessions which we had taken in that particular time, which has the questions for all, which has the answers for the independent case study case scenarios what we are covered in that particular point. So if you go to the BOS YouTube link and you go to that particular time, I know you have to search a lot for that, but you'll be able to find it. July first week, you'll find the classes for the MCQs. So there also you please watch the video wherein we have dealt with all the other question of MCQs as well. So therefore, with this, we come to the end of today's session. Now I'm here in this particular situation. It is a very, very unique thing for me. The first class of the GST was taken by me, and also the last class, that is today. Of course, we may not know if we have the other classes for the May 2022 attempt, but the last class of the GST also is taken by me. So that is a very, very good, gives me a good feeling that I'd all met you guys virtually on the first class and also at the end of the last class. See, as I always keep telling that the indirect taxes is one of the most scoring subject in the CA final. Group 2 as such is a scoring subject after the introduction of the elective subject. Earlier, ISCA was there when we were studying. It used to always be a very tough subject, tough nut to crack for all of us. But now, because of the elective subject, Group 2 has become very, very lucrative. And I've seen a lot of results in my office as well, where people have qualified as CAs, wherein Group 2 has enabled them to pass both the groups because of the high scores what they've achieved in indirect taxes and the elective subject. So please make sure that you just need to have a proper conceptual clarity. The material is given by the CA Institute, the facilities are given by the CA Institute. What you require is proper dedication, proper the interest towards the subject is also required to be there. Don't take it as a very, very don't first of all think it is very tough or something like that. If you give the time properly, if you plan things in a proper manner, definitely you'll be able to achieve the success by getting the good marks in the IDT. So please bear in mind that I hope all your preparation is good. I hope you've been revising properly. Please make sure to score a minimum of 60 marks in indirect taxes to make sure to cover for other low. I hope you get 60 in all subjects, in fact, but in case any subject is tough, indirect taxes should help you in this particular situation. Sir, in supply to Charanjot Hardwares, let me look at the question. In supply to Charanjot Hardwares, advance payment is not there. Let me just check. Date of receipt of payment is 10th November. Date of invoice is 12th October. Date of removal of goods is 10th October. So date of receipt of payment is not relevant. That is what I wanted to tell you. Advance payment is not there, correct? Advance payment is not there. That is why we didn't give any cash discount to Charanjot Hardwares. We gave the cash discount only to Nandkishore Traders and Rana Singh Ji For these two only, we gave the respective discounts. So with this, I would once again wish you a very wish you good luck, wish you all the best for your preparations, and I hope I see you as full-fledged chartered accountants once July comes or once January comes, based on which attempt you're writing. I know it always seems a very uphill task. We all have been in the shoes of yours before when we were studying. When I was studying at that point of time, definitely for each attempt, it is not like I cleared in the first attempt. It took some time for me as well. But here, the phase in which you are studying, it always feels it feels like a big mountain what you have to climb and try to succeed. Sometimes if you don't succeed, you end up falling down from the mountain, then again climbing the mountain. It gives you such a feeling. But again, ultimately, please bear in mind, the more you study, the more you retain. The more you study, the more you retain. And this will also, so everything has a positive side. If a person clears in 2 attempts or 3 attempts, once he qualifies, he will know the history of the law, especially when it comes to taxation, what the law was 3 years back and what it is now. If you take, say, 4 or 5 attempts, you will know that. So therefore, that will help you in post qualification as well. So for persons who are here listening to the session, who are writing for the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th time, please don't worry. Please don't worry. There's nothing wrong in not passing. Fine. Please put that in mind and make sure with the renewed motivation and energy, you try to pass clearly as well. Right. I scored 55 in last attempt. Good, Mr. Sumit. Now I think you have to score more in indirect taxes. You have to make sure you add at least 10 marks to your score last time. Fine. They're available on this portal as well in the 3rd batch module. Yes, I know it is available. See, I don't know because I don't have an access to the 3rd batch schedule as such, and so you can check that particular module, Namita, because I've covered all those questions. So since it is a repetition, I'm just not going it. But if you say so, since we have time, but I won't solve everything. I'll just give you hints. I want you guys to solve it, because if I solve everything, you will not do it. So let us, on the request of Namita, take because she has been a very loyal student. She's been attending all my lectures. So the least I can do for her is to take another question apart from. But 18th, I want to do it on your own, because it is, I'll tell you hints. I'll tell you the hints and you'll have to do it on your own. So now we come to the 19th question. Again, the solution for this, you will find it in my previous lectures. This is very much there. Okay. You'll see it for sure. And of course, I'll also put a request to the BOS for taking another few sessions if you want me to go for the entire case study based scenarios. If you want me to cover that, I'll put a request and see if they say yes, we'll have further classes as well, not an issue. So GQF Private Limited, registered under GST in the state of Maharashtra, is engaged in manufacturing of goods which are used for further production in automobile industry. The company sends some semi-finished goods inputs to job workers, Yamuna and Jamuna for processing. So here what has happened, GQF Private Limited is the principal manufacturer. He sends the goods for the job work purposes to these two, that is Yamuna and Jamuna. Then the processed goods are sent back by the job workers to the company, where they are used for manufacturing the finished products. Yamuna has its place of business in Maharashtra. Jamuna has its place in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, 35 kilometers from the place of business. Company imports some raw material, stores the same for a few months in the warehouse operated by Gajanan Enterprises in the state of Tamil Nadu. Later on, it is transported to the company's factory in Maharashtra. So, raw material is imported, raw material is stored, later is sent to the company's factory. Gajanan is not registered under GST, aggregate turnover, current finance 18,25,000. Company maintains all the records. Details of GQF is given here. Total turnover 36 lakhs. Input received during the month 21 lakh 12,000. Input services received during the month is 8 lakh 99,000. Goods sent to Yamuna during the month for job work by motor vehicle is 75,000. Goods sent to Jamuna during the month by motor vehicle is 46,800. GQF procures service of Speedo Fast Enterprises, a GTA, having its place of business in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Kerala. Speedo Fast is registered in all these states with the same PAN number. GQF private transports its finished goods to different customers through speed of first. Consignment prepared with all the details. Answer the questions. First one. Gajanan Enterprise, owner of warehouse in Tamil Nadu, wishes to know as whether it is required to obtain the GST registration. Which of the following is true? Number one, warehouse means compulsory registration, not required to take registration, neither required to obtain nor unique enrollment number. Yes, compulsorily also unique enrollment number as its turnover is more than 10 lakhs. Please try to answer. For this question, you need to have a proper knowledge of the registration related procedures. Then you will be able to answer this question. So kindly refer the registration related provisions in case of this particular point. Fine. So that was your this one. Now, if you go to the second one, Speedofast Enterprises wishes to obtain a unique common enrollment number for generating e-way bills. Which of the statement is true? Not eligible, is eligible for obtaining with the same PAN number, not eligible obtaining the CEN, obtaining as it in multiple states. For this, you need to have proper knowledge of the e-way bill provisions. First one is registration and other accounts and procedures. Second one is e-way bill provisions. Third one, again, third one, you need to have knowledge of e-way bill provisions, whether GQF is required to generate the e-way bill. Fine. Then Speedofast, again, all these 3 or 4 questions relates to e-way bill. So e-way bill provisions are covered in the concept of accounts and records. So in accounts and records, if you are able to do this chapter thoroughly, you'll be able to answer this question. Fine. So please, you can have a look at the old videos of mine, which has covered the MCQs. So we'll be able to do this. And as I promised you, I will definitely speak to the BOS and cover more of the MCQs if the time permits. But I'm sure the moment you have proper understanding, you'll be able to answer all of this very, very clearly. Right. So with this, I take leave and thank you very much once again. Study well, study hard. Please remember, the road ahead may appear tough, but it is not definitely very unknown. It is not unknown. It is tough, but it is not unknown. So the moment you know something and you know something, it is tough and complicated, you know that what you have to do is to make the proper effort to achieve it. Right? If it is unknown, it is a different issue. You have all the resources, you have all the study materials, you have all the notes, you have all the videos that are live on YouTube. I mean, when we were studying for our examination, we didn't have these exhaustive lectures on YouTube covering the topic. Sitting from your home, you are able to access ocean of knowledge. So there is no excuse as such for you guys to not pass. And don't worry, the institute, there are the rumors that the institute will purposely not clear some students and all is totally untrue. Don't believe in such rumors. When I was writing, whatever marks I predicted, I got exactly the same in my examination, including for the attempts which I didn't clear. Once I wrote the examination, when I totaled it, just 2-3 marks variation will be there. So therefore, there is nothing like, I mean, compulsorily they will not give you good marks or something like that. So don't worry. Don't keep all that in your mind. Just make sure you study well. Just make sure you put the proper efforts and you do it. So thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Hope to see you once again. Once again, all the best. Study well and take care.